Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're not just exploring a topic, we are really setting out on what feels like a transformative journey. Our source for this is, well, it's a guide that makes this really bold promise. Change your thinking, change your life. It's called My Divine Journal Diary by Shirley Denise Horton. And yeah, this isn't just, a book you read through, it's a full 365-day guided journal. An active partner, really, designed for consistent personal change. And that promise, right there on the cover, change the way you think, you will change your life. That's the mission. So today, our goal is to unpack how. How does this journal actually aim to do that? We'll look at the prompts, the structure for reflection, and the spiritual side woven in. You might be surprised, actually.
Yeah, what's really fascinating here, and I think often missed, is just the sheer power of a simple, structured daily practice. Lots of us have these vague goals like, I want to be more positive or I need to fix my mindset. But this journal gives you something really concrete, actionable. It's about turning those kind of fuzzy wishes into daily steps that can genuinely impact your thinking and, well, your whole life's direction. It uses that power of habit to start, literally rewiring how you see things day by day.
Okay, so let's dig into that core idea a bit more. That phrase, change the way you think, you will change your life. That's the engine, right? But for a lot of people, that sounds huge, abstract. What does the journal say is the first critical step to actually do that? What does changing your thinking really mean, practically speaking?
Well, the journal starts with this foundational idea. Our thoughts aren't just random noise. They're actually like architects building our external reality. So the critical first step, as the journal sees it, isn't just noticing negative thoughts, but actively, consciously, and consistently changing them. It suggests that if you deliberately shift that internal talk, your perceptions, how you react emotionally, then your life circumstances kind of have to follow. It's not passive advice. It's the mission for the whole year. Every single prompt, every reflection is a deliberate step towards that internal shift, one thought at a time. Building new mental habits, really.
And it anchors this big transformation in a really clear spiritual way right from the start. There's a whole prayer for direction section. And it's specific too, mentioning Bible verses like John 16.13 about the Spirit of truth guiding you, and Psalm 119.133 asking for footsteps directed by God's word.
Exactly. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, well, these scriptures give it a really solid spiritual grounding. It offers guidance, sure, but also psychological comfort. This framework means it's not just about belief. It gives the whole journey a sense of deep purpose and divine backup. It frames the self-reflection not just as looking inward, but as part of this bigger spiritual search for truth and alignment. For many, that suggests you're not alone in this, which can really lessen the anxiety that sometimes comes with deep personal work. Makes it feel safer, more purposeful.
Right, that makes sense. And that feeling of guidance then connects directly to this recurring call to action that starts a lot of the daily prompts. Let's dive in. We're going to speak truth to self.
Right.
It's about being honest, maybe even comfortably honest, but within that supportive context you just looked at. Okay, so with that kind of spiritual compass set, the journal then quickly gets practical. It asks us to face a really key question. Where are you right now? It gets you to engage with your present self in a really tangible way, actually. There's a page early on that just says, place your new journey photo here. Why start with a photo? What's the significance there?
Yeah, that's a really smart psychological move. It's much more than just sticking a picture in a book, Our brains are just wired for visuals. Images stick better, create stronger connections than just words. So having that visual starting point does a few things. First, it's like a concrete commitment. You're literally marking this moment as the before. Second, it helps define your current identity right now. And then as you go through the journal, that photo becomes this tangible reference point. It proves how far you've come. It helps solidify this idea that you are someone on a journey of change.
That totally clicks. And then, building on that, where are you now? There's this core prompt that shows up again and again on several pages, like 6 or 12. It asks, as of right now, write down how you see yourself in this moment in life. Why ask that repeatedly? What's the benefit of that constant check-in?
Right, because self-awareness isn't a one-shot deal, is it? It's an ongoing thing, and the journal really gets that. You can't really chart a course somewhere new if you don't keep checking where you currently are on the map. So this repeated prompt isn't just about the starting line. It forces you to face your present reality, maybe without the usual filters or stories we tell ourselves. It's about creating this unfiltered baseline, not just physically, but emotionally, psychologically too. And that honesty, even when it's a bit uncomfortable, is really where the rewiring starts. You move past the surface stuff to see the deeper patterns in your thinking.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about some of the gratitude exercises because honestly, some of them are really creative in how they work. First, there's this gratitude emotions poem. The prompt is basically choose a word for how you're feeling right now and write an acrostic poem where each line expresses gratitude. This gives you an example. Like if you pick authenticity, you might write A for assertive, U for unique, and so on.
Yeah, that one's clever. It gives you this kind of dual benefit, touching on what psychologists might call cognitive restructuring. First, it makes you pause and actually name your emotion. What am I feeling right now? But then, boom, it immediately reframes it through gratitude, using that acrostic structure like a guide rail. This structured creativity trains your brain to find the good, the things to be grateful for, even within tricky emotions. It's a powerful way to shift your internal story, actively looking for the positive.
It really is powerful and yeah, creative. Then there's a different approach 10-minute continuous gratitude writing. For this one, you just set a timer for 10 minutes and write continuously, starting with I am grateful for, nonstop.
Yeah. And see, that's different from the structured poem, isn't it? This free form, timed writing taps into more of a mental flow state. Writing nonstop helps bypass that internal critic, that editor in your head. It forces this stream of grateful thoughts, pushing you past the obvious stuff to dig a bit deeper. That sustained focus, without judging yourself, is really effective for building a genuine feeling of abundance. It can actually start reinforcing positive pathways in the brain just through repetition.
This next one, this one really grabbed me for it's like simple genius, body gratitude. About the idea is you mentally scan your body from head to toe, writing a thank you note to each body part, acknowledging its function.
Wow, right. How does thanking your body parts actually shift things internally? Oh, absolutely. This really highlights the journal's holistic view, connecting the mind and body, which we often, treat separately. There's this concept in psychology, embodied cognition basically, how our physical state affects our mental state. So consciously appreciating your physical self, your eyes for seeing, your feet for carrying you, that can seriously boost self-love, improve body image, and create a healthier sense of self. It's a deep mindfulness practice, really, being present and grateful in your own skin.
Okay, so after all that deep diving into the present, the journal then makes this really smart pivot towards the future. After asking how you see yourself now, it moves to prompts like, now write down how you desire to see your future self. That shows up across pages 15 to 21. How does that shift work? From assessment to creation.
Yeah, that sequence is crucial. It moves you from just understanding where you are to actively designing where you want to go. It taps into the power of future pacing and visualization. When you actually write down your desired future self, you're not just hoping, you're engaging the planning parts of your brain. It makes those fuzzy desires more solid, more real. And it also kind of primes your brain, your reticular activating system, to start noticing opportunities that line up with that future vision. You become more aware of the paths forward.
And it's interesting, it doesn't just ask for the big, far off vision. It has these shorter term prompts too, like write down how you desire to see your future self 14 days from now, and then again for 21 days. What's the advantage of those smaller, quicker future check ins when the whole thing is a year long?
That's just brilliant goal setting psychology right there. The big picture is motivating, yeah, but a whole year of change can feel, well, overwhelming. So breaking it down into these smaller, manageable steps does a couple of things. It makes it less daunting, for sure, but more importantly, it creates chances for quick wins. Seeing yourself hit a goal in just 2 or 3 weeks, that's powerful, positive reinforcement. It builds momentum and confidence. Those small successes are really the bedrock of lasting change. They keep you going for the long haul.
Okay, here's why I think it gets really powerful. There's a prompt called Redirecting Your Energy and Challenges. It asks you to write about a current challenge or past difficulty. Then list 3 ways this challenge has helped you elevate in life. That's not just facing hardship, that's actively reframing it.
It absolutely is. That prompt is pure resilience building. It encourages that deliberate practice of finding the positive in adversity. It really aligns with the psychological idea of post-traumatic growth, the idea that people can actually experience positive changes after struggling with really tough stuff. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about shifting your focus from the problem to the lessons, the growth. By actively looking for how it helped you elevate, you turn that obstacle from a roadblock into a stepping stone. Over time, that changes how you approach all challenges.
And tying into that hopeful future look, there's another scripture reference that really supports it. Jeremiah 29:1-5. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future.
Precisely. That verse offers such a profound sense of hope and divine reassurance. It lines up perfectly with the journal's goal of envisioning a positive future. For the person using the journal, it provides this strong cognitive anchor, a belief that there's a bigger benevolent plan that can massively reduce anxiety and boost perseverance, especially when things get tough. It grounds your efforts in this sense of ultimate purpose.
Okay, let's unpack one more really unique gratitude practice that kind of deepens everything. Spend 5 minutes in quiet observation, then write about what you're grateful for using all 5 senses. Give the example, I am grateful for God's beautiful light. This really forces you to just stop and notice, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a brilliant exercise in mindfulness and sensory integration. We spend so much time lost in thought, right? In our heads. By consciously engaging sight, sound, smell, taste, touchy, pull yourself right into the present moment. It makes gratitude feel much more tangible, immediate, real. It boosts your presence, your awareness of the richness right here, right now. When you can connect being grateful to actual sensory experiences, it sticks better. It becomes more accessible, even when abstract gratitude feels hard to find.
And we absolutely have to underline that this isn't a weekend workshop. It's specifically a 365-day divine journal diary. That year-long commitment is fundamental, isn't it?
So what does that all mean when you pull it together? It really highlights the huge, often underrated power of consistent daily practice for real lasting change. The 365-day nature isn't just a number, it's key to why it works. Deep change, altering thought patterns, building habits, it just doesn't happen overnight. It takes repetition, dedication, time for your brain to actually rewire itself. This journal respects that whole process. It guides you in building a new way of being, one small, intentional step at a time, making sure those changes actually stick.
Wow, what an incredible arc the Mindfind Journal Diary takes you on. From that deep look at the present, those really diverse gratitude practices, through mapping out the future and even reframing challenges, it's also carefully structured, grounded in that spiritual support, and driven by that daily commitment. It really feels like a complete system for growth.
Yeah, this deep dive really shows you how having that structure, but also that creativity, can give you a powerful way into self-improvement. You gain real knowledge about your inner world, but hopefully without feeling totally swamped. It's about that consistent, intentional work that builds on itself.
What stands out most to you from looking at this journal's approach?
You know, the journal has that prompt, place your new journey photo here near the start, but then much later it prompts you to update your new journey photo. And that idea, updating your journey photo, it makes me think beyond just a physical picture. What does it really mean for you listening right now to continuously update your own journey photo, mentally, spiritually, as you move through life? How does that kind of ongoing self-check-in and re-envisioning keep us aligned with who we're becoming instead of just being stuck in who we used to be? Something to mull over, perhaps.
Thanks for listening to my podcast review on my new book release, My Divine Journal Diary. Change the way you think, you will change your life. Books are now available on Amazon.com. Search Shirley Denise Horton. I want to thank you in advance for your support of my new endeavor. Have a blessed day.